Hello friends, I'm Teenu Puri, a part of the key leadership of the performance transformation practice at KPMG in India. Welcome to a new and an exciting episode of this podcast series. Our subject of discussion today is From Process to Transformation Leadership, CMMI in Action. A tripod conversation, what we call as 3 voices, 3 views, 1 conversation. We are truly excited to present to you an insightful perspective and a deliberation on this subject. We have a credible representation from the consulting perspective as well as the practitioner perspective. I'm joined by my senior colleague at KPMG in India, Dr. Sankaran Venkataramani. Welcome, Dr. Sankaran.
Thank you, Mr. Teenu. Thank you for having me here as part of the podcast. Pleasure always interacting with you. Thank you, Mr. Rajnish, for taking time out to be part of this conversation. I bring in about 29 years of work experience, that being in the industry with a combination of as well as in implementation, as well as in consulting. And that was very exciting to me because I was able to see the other side of the table, how things are getting implemented on the ground in various organizations and how frameworks are being used and various models and methods are being used to consume as much as the best practice from them and then result in business value. My current portfolio includes strategic quality management, process improvement, and operating model benchmarking advisory. So once again, pleasure to be here and looking forward to this wonderful conversation with both of you.
Thank you, Dr. Sankaran. And our esteemed guest today for this discussion is Mr. Rajnish Kumar, the Chief Operating Officer, NEGD, Digital India Corporation, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. Welcome, Mr. Rajnish.
Thank you, Mr. Puri. I'm honored to be here. I have about 20 years experience of various government functions, and this role of mine is about capacity building, training, development, software development for the government projects. So one of the great challenges that we have is predictability of the process, quality software development. So CMI has, brought in that change in our organization where we can be as good as the industry. And as a process, as part of the journey with you, we have realized that there is a lot of potential of CMI in the organization. And as I'm heading the capacity building part of the National Governance Division and also involved in projects to the government, this will help us in also expanding this knowledge to the other government departments and ministries.
Thank you, Mr. Rajnish. Welcome again. So we begin with a discussion with the basics of CMMI adoption in line with an organization's objectives. Now, since CMMI model adoption is essentially tightly linked to an organization's business objectives, Mr. Rajnish, what are the key objectives at NEGD DIC that inspired and led to the choice of CMMI deployment? Sir.
Well, as a government department, I can just tell you that the kind of volumes we have, the 3 main projects, DigiLocker, Umang, My Scheme. DigiLocker has 62 crore users, Umang about 9 crore users, My Scheme about 5,000 schemes, and capacity building about 1 million people have taken our courses. So we need predictability, we need quality assurance, we need to have a good life cycle of software development, then organization capacity building frameworks, and then we have to align to the digital public infrastructure, which means a reliable, scalable, and a sustainable infrastructure. So the perfect choice was for us to go for the CMI level 3, and of course now we're proceeding towards the level 5.
Thank you, Mr. Rajnish. Dr. Shankar, you would like to add anything on the mapping part?
Oh, absolutely. I think Mr. Rajnish called out some of essential components when they are trying to benchmark with the processes. Look at the kind of outcomes at scale. The products that he talked about, for instance, the DigiLocker or Umang, the users community is vast. And look at those products have to have features which are extremely important for the users community. And the same products will have to help the government also to bridge the connect between the policymakers versus what is getting implemented on the ground. Now, he called out a few important words called predictability. That's very important. In fact, I'm thinking about the fact that why the model itself has come in. CMMI such as model, the whole idea is to bring in 3 aspects. I want to achieve the outcomes. Outcomes can be, as he rightly said, objectives or the products or the solutions that can help customers in the long run and n mass of customers. Second, to achieve that outcome, we need to have right methods in place. Methods and approach is something extremely, that's why many companies are today talking about methods excellence. And not just one model, even keep benchmarking with multiple models. We need to have right set of methodology to derive that outcomes. And the third dimension, if you look at it, alignment. He also said align. So actually, OMA, outcome, then method and alignment. There's no point in just having the method in silos. It all need to align and work in tandem with each other so that the whole organization functions comes together to develop a product that's going to be adding business value to every user's community at large.
Sure.
I think that's what I want to allude to what Mr. Rajnish talked about.
And just to add, whenever we have a scheme or a policy or any product, it's very important to know what product does to the user and what user does to product. Just like in drug industry, when you test a drug, both the sides are tested. What body does to drug and what drug does to body. So CMMI give us that capability now of finding the effectiveness of the product, which is a very important aspect in product engineering.
All right. Thank you so much. Further, Mr. Rajnish, since CMMI institutionalization, or what we typically call as sustaining habit and persistence, essentially involves a cultural transformation and a sustained consistency, what are the key challenges that you would have encountered from the cultural perspective, and what are the key measures that you initiated for keeping the culture in check, sir?
Although NEGD involved a lot of people from the private sector, we have representation from government, private sector. But what happens when they enter a government organization, they tend to become more project centric, more process, not so process oriented. So the CMI journey has transformed, I would say, our team into a project centric mindset to a process centric mindset. Of course, there was a non-uniform adoption across all projects, so that was one challenge. Then there was natural resistance to change. Then the biggest thing was fragmented document repositories. Every project had a very different set of documents, indexing. Even sometimes you could not find the old repositories, old documents in repositories. Then the leadership visibility was not there. Leadership was more concerned about the outcome. But what happens if the process is not right? Outcomes, can be managed. But if the process is right, outcomes are always, somehow aligned there. Then there has to be a very lightweight governance structure and structured reviews. So these things were a little missing. I'm not saying they were not there. They were a little missing, and CMI has brought them, into a whole framework. It has become, more institutionalized. And, there is a lot of investment in continuous training and improvement. In fact, we now give rupees 50,000 per employee to do courses on their own. We don't mandate anything. So these are some flexibility, some adaptability measures that we have taken, which is one of the core issues in CMI, and which leads to process improvement, continuous improvement, and sort of predictability in the process.
Thanks, Mr. Rajnish. So, Dr. Sankaran, any thoughts you would like to share on the cultural aspect of the adoption?
So when we talk about sustaining habit and persistence, it's very interesting you use that word, because this capability area has been designed to be included as part of the entire model with a view that prepare the organization and the enterprise at large to make that change to happen. As Mr. Rajnish rightly called out some key factors to be in alignment with each other, including predictability, including resistance to change with people. Everyone should be very clear and at least in a common pedestal to say, why are we doing what we are doing? And how are we going to achieve the outcomes? As long as this is very clear to en masse within the organization, you will get the complete alignment to this. To attach to this, there are 8 factors which are essentially important even in talking about sustaining habit and persistence. Number 1, vision. What is the vision of the company? And to that vision, what are the frameworks, standards, and models we have selected to apply? So that is number 1 factor. Second factor is, how is the current organization culture? Where are the larger people within our own organization have seen the risk and have settled in their mindset that this will not work or something else will work? So are they more savvy around certain areas? How can the leadership team play a massive role to say, hey, how do we minimize the barriers and eventually eliminate the barriers to change by giving them what are the final intent and objective of the initiative? So organization culture is the second important factor. Third factor, as he rightly talked about, capable process to be put in place. It's not just the process. It's not just a method and how to do it. What is the capability of the process? Is the process benchmarked with best-in-class practices? Can be, because CMMI would say what needs to be done. Right, Mr. Rajnish? And then how it has to be done, it is in our quality management system in the company. This is where I often say the company's quality management system is far more superior than the model itself, because we say what plus how. Whereas the model and framework will only limit up to what. So capable process is very important. That's the third factor. Fourth factor, we also talked about upskilling people. See, look at the kind of organization that he's talking about. How do we keep on looking at training and upskilling people? So capable people is also important. Competencies. capabilities from people perspective, they are also very important, which is a fourth factor. The fifth factor is, do we have adequate infrastructure in place to perform what we want to do? So all the ecosystem to be put in place. And the next factor is inclusion. You cannot achieve any big thing through process improvement journey if you're going to do it in silos, in isolation. We have got to take a very inclusive approach. Everybody is involved. That's again one of the noble thought of sustaining habit and persistency, inclusivity there. Then incentivization. We would need a right set of, in the current context, very innovative rewards and recognition programs where the larger employees are valuing the rewards. And then there is a natural motivation to get out of the resistance and start moving towards it, that improvements. And last but not the least, actions. We have put all this in place, right from vision to incentivization. But if they are not converted to concrete actions on the ground, then I think nothing will move. The results are not going to come. So that's where I like what he said. The two words of predictability and alignment. Alignment will happen only when everything translates to action. Strategy is not just strategy unless otherwise it is implementable action. So vision to action is a journey, Mr. Teenu, in terms of just trying to connect the dots what Mr. Rajnish is experiencing in his company, that sustaining habit and persistence is a remarkable capability that drives these top 8 factors to make an organization to embark in that improvement journey.
Thank you, Dr. Sankaran. So this is essentially enabling a larger ecosystem which entails multiple elements, as you well said.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Further, Mr. Rajnish, if we talk about the measurable benefits from the CMMI program perspective, can you please share what kind of dashboards you deployed across the organization and any typical KPI numbers that validated the CMMI benefits?
That's a very interesting question because, when CMMI came, we heard of so many terms we never heard of. The definition itself taught us many things. For example, that post-deployment defects, SIT to UAT, defect removal effectiveness. So we introduced product dashboards for operational teams. And at project level also, we defined KPIs for their, define KPIs in the DPR itself. So we have a dedicated metrics council function team, which is of course one of the mandates of CMMI. So there was a clear reduction in post-deployment defects, like percentage defect leaks from SIT to UAT is reduced from 10.76% to 1.76%. Our defect removal effectiveness has increased from 94.59% to 90.67%. In terms of service projects, our service request first time right, a very interesting abbreviation, FTR, has increased from 90.22% to 94.92%. So the decisions that we take are, more data driven today. And in fact, enabling leadership to not take decisions which are, I would say heuristic by nature. And what happened, we found that we used to take time in decision making because we're not sure of the data. But today when we have things, in front of us in dashboard, timely decisions are taken. And in fact, this whole learning has come to our new projects because now we're also going on projects in a big way to other ministries. And the confidence that we got from the last 1 year from CMI, that now at a drop of a hat, we can say yes to a project of a ministry because we know how to standardize a process, how to go about understand their problem statement, because you'll realize in consulting business, the most important thing is defining the problem properly. That's over 90% of the solution. So this is, of course, one of the benefits. And frankly speaking, when I look at the dashboard, I'm quite confused. But that confusion leads to a lot of knowledge, because when I go back asking those questions, when answers come, we realize that those confusions were necessary. So predictability has come by those questions that we ask every day, every moment we see the dashboard. And I think a dashboard is almost ready. We use it, if not on a daily basis, at least on a periodic basis. Yes, that was the thing. So dashboard, yes, was a very effective thing.
As they say, what can't be measured can be managed. So that is essentially the concept. Dr. Sankaran, any thoughts from your side?
It is very interesting what Mr. Rajnish directly brought about. Some of our famous quality gurus keep saying that in God we trust. All others, please bring data. I think that's what essentially is trying to bring in the view that building dashboards, looking at some of the metric parameters he talked about. Now, at the end of the day, if you look at from a successful organization, is all about if they have their own solutions, how quickly they can take their solutions to the market, how much of end customers' business problems can be solved. I think that's where I'm trying to translate what Mr. Rajnish also very nicely talked about. Some of the key metrics like defect removal efficiency onwards to productivity, various metrics he talked about. Everybody talked about improvement more than 92%. And that typically shows the alignment that we want to achieve through the objectives. At the end of the day, it's only 4 things: faster, better, cost effective, happier. You deliver faster. Cycle time of solution to be deployed in the market is now we are living in a technological AI driven era, and you can't take too much of time to release a solution. It has to go very quickly to the market. At the same time, it has to be safer, secure also. So faster, then better. He talked about different related metrics. They all reflect quality. So better is related to quality. Cost effective includes the cost angle as well as the productivity angle. The efforts that we put in. Why are we burning so much of efforts for such a outcome that we want to get? For this outcome, can we minimize our efforts? Can we bring in more and more reusable components? Why should we reinvent the wheel? Look at all these things cannot happen without the fundamental process premise in place. And the last one is H is happier. Both happy internal team members as well as happier customers. Now you talk about any metrics, Mr. Teenu and Mr. Rajnish, I'm sure you'll agree that any number of thousands and thousands of metrics you put in place, it has to align to either faster, better, cost effective or happier. So talk about customer satisfaction score, net promoter score, happier. You talk about productivity, somewhere in cost effective. Talk about defect, better. Cycle time reduction, all in faster. It has to primarily come into these 4 quadrants. This is a premise reason where many authors came out with some of these the good old years like balanced scorecard. How do you maintain balance among finance perspective, customer perspective, learning and growth perspective, internal process perspective? And today we speak a different language. Objectives and key results have come in. KPIs are coming in. At the end of the day, as you rightly said, what we cannot measure, we cannot control, nor we can improve. Therefore, better to embrace measurement tightly and then say what can be objectively handled with key decision making and take it forward to bring in a business value. So I think he nicely talked about the journey from confusion to clarity. If you don't have confusion, I think then we are not learning anything. So first step for learning is got something new. I'm getting confused here. Now, once the confusion comes, naturally mind will start looking for the journey towards clarity. So very, very interesting to see that journey, Mr. Rajnish. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I remember in our school days, I remember those concepts more in which I got 0 because I made a mistake. So that is the whole point. Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's a very famous adage. It says measurement program, it reveals more than it hides. I think that says everything. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Further, Mr. Rajnish, sometime back, NEGT DIC embarked on its high maturity journey, that is moving from CMMI maturity level 3 to maturity level 5. What kind of benefits do you see in this journey vis-a-vis the statistical process maturity?
Well, from a very, very, very simple perspective, the CMMI level 3 is actually what we are doing. We are measuring, we are having the outputs. It is basic metrics. It is more like preventive, it's more reactive. But level 5 is a very different level. Predictability. There's a predictive and there's a proactive approach of the system. And there's a statistical process control. There's precise forecasting, risk mitigation. And data-driven process optimization is the key in level 5. Ultimately, when we embarked on the journey of CMMI level 3, we did not want to stop there. But your process is that you have to go for level 3, then only you go to level 5. So ultimately, our aim is that we should be an organization which can predict its own failure. Predict the customer demand, predict what can go wrong, and have a proactive measure to get the things done. It is a direct translation to reliability, accountability, and stakeholder confidence. Because when you are dealing with projects like 100 crore users, we're expecting that you cannot have an unreliable product. And a DPI it's like a highway. The highway cannot have potholes. So the DPI is that information highway. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So this clearly brings in the management vision for the adoption of the entire statistical proposition. Dr. Sankaran, any further thoughts on this?
So, in fact, I'm quite alluded to the fact that in the journey from level 3 to level 5, as you rightly said, while larger part of the community may think it's a very tough journey, but I'll tell you it's a very interesting journey. It's more than toughness or easiness. It's about interesting parts. What is it trying to do? At the end of the day in our business, we all want to take informed decisions. Okay, and quite happy to see in the recent many CEO Outlook survey that many consulting companies does, even from KPMG, we do annual CEO Outlook survey, and we could see increased percentage of CEOs showing focused investment around data-driven decision making and data-driven organization culture. When something goes wrong, don't ask who did it, rather ask what in the system broke down. Then your system will get rectified. If you ask a question reverse, who did it, then you will go and correct the individual, not the system. Similarly, now the next question which is coming up, what does the data says? So data reflects the facts very clearly. So while leveraging the power of level 4, level 5 of CMMI, which talks about quantitatively managed, the other one is optimizing. The whole idea is, how do I achieve consistency? English language is consistency. Statistical language is stability. And that stability can be computed using mean, median, mode, or standard deviation. All these are statistical expression. But the idea is minimize variations. More and more in our processes and sub-processes, what Mr. Rajnish also talked about, if we minimize the variations, the chances of predictability is very high. Just imagine, if something is not stable, how can I predict? Stabilizing it is going to be very important. So informed decision making. Second, as he rightly talked about, one step ahead to predictability, early warning signals. Nobody wants surprises in business. Neither the customers, nor the associate partners, or the vendors, or third party, no one wants surprises. How do I minimize surprises? The only way to minimize surprises, take the advantage of data and start looking at what can go wrong potentially in the future. Get to know early. The developers should get to know early and then fix the issue. So zero surprises is another aspect through early warning signals. And last but not the least, at the end of the day, what level 5 culture is trying to bring in, understand the past, historical data. Understand the past quantitatively. With the past, control the present. So during the in-process execution, we use the techniques such as control charts, box plot. What are we trying to say? As you execute the processes, make sure variations are not high and you're not giving room for defects. Do not ever leak defects from one stage to the next stage, from one sprint to next sprint. Fix, detect, and fix then and there, so that we are saving our efforts. So control the present, again quantitatively. And the third and the last one, with ability to understand the past, again, control the present. What should we do? Take advantage, predict the future. I think that's the dimension which I'm able to trying to put the dots in terms of what Mr. Rajnish is experiencing when we are going through the journey of level 5. It's a lot more interesting in terms of using the power of data and take big business decisions and also derive early warning signals. That would be my take as far as the high maturity journey is concerned.
And just to add to what he said, that the humans are prone to error. So the whole idea is that we must know where humans can go wrong. And that must be inbuilt in the system. So that before the person makes a mistake, he is told to correct. He or she is told to correct. Because as you rightly said, there's no point blaming the person because the damage is done, the company loses reputation. You may fire a person, but that doesn't save anything. It doesn't salvage the situation.
So this further also leads to the essence of data quality. Now, if the data is credible, then the measurement program, would effectively be mapped to the business vision of the organization. So that is where the MPM practice area, which is one of the core practice areas of CMMI, and on the top of that, CMMI data, which is a full-fledged domain, has a specific practice area on data quality.
Absolutely. In fact, very interesting to say when you said MPM, right? See the way that the acronym, the abbreviation says managing performance and measurement.
Absolutely.
Measurement towards the end, but the first is managing performance.
Absolutely. Thank you. So further, Mr. Rajnish, since NDGT DIC adopted multiple domains of CMMI, that is CMMI development and CMMI services, can you please share some insights in terms of how the hardcore software engineering and the service delivery capabilities evolved over a period of time?
We are a software development company, and we also saw that the advent of the new tools, we require a robust coding management system. So now we have coding efficiency, code review defect density, number of code review defects, defect leakage to testing. So, and then a robust testing management system wherein open defects are, monitored, percentage defect leakage is monitored, and there is a systemic review of, the peer reviews for each phase. There's a rigorous configuration management because we have something which is, equivalent of a GitHub called OpenForge in the government, where it is mandated all the codes will go there. So improve code quality, reusability, and technical data management. So all this was, there, but not so institutionalized. So after the CMI process level 3, we've done all that. So I think in the next 1 or 2 years, we are going to see a massive change in the way we make products, which are, obeying the whole idea of DPI, which is interoperable. We don't get locked to a vendor, which is one of the very critical issues in government, and many projects have suffered because of that. So I think single point, if you ask me, coding management was one of the great achievements of the CMI level 3, which were a little absent in our organization before that.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Dr. Shankar, any thoughts from your side in terms of the key CMMI value proposition from the hardcore software engineering and the delivery lifecycle perspective?
The some of the value proposition that typically comes out with the way the company's business model is changing. As he rightly said, engineering excellence is very important. At the same time, service delivery excellence are also important. Today we can see product development, after that product as a service. Now you can look at many as a service model, cloud as a service, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service. Everything is taking shape of as a service model. And obviously, because of circular economy that we are living in, the world is moving towards servitization as an approach. And the whole idea of servitization is outcomes as a service. I don't want to charge my customer anymore for the product, anymore for the service, but I want to charge the customer for the impact I have created. It is as good as saying that whatever the business outcomes you have achieved, if I solved your problem, pay me. Otherwise, don't even. Because there's no point in pricing for a product. That's the world slowly moving towards servitization. That means the confidence they have on their solution development excellence with service delivery excellence. That's the blend. I think CMMI development services combination will bring in a big value proposition. It will move the organization in that needle towards the direction of, yes, as an organization, you are ready for taking up the servitization approach. And that's a very big business model. Some of the companies, there are many companies which are now looking at servitization as a business model, where they are confidently going back to the customer and say, don't pay me for the product I'm giving you. In fact, they are saying, I will not even sell the product. I will rent the product. I will give my product on subscription basis. I will own the product, maintain the product. You just use the product, solve your business problem. That's all. And if your business problem is solved or your business growth is multiplied, pay me, not for any of the other things. That's the movement of the business model. If that is going to be the case, imagine what CMMI development services can do. As he rightly said, requirements understanding onwards it starts. Accurately, we should know what our customer wants. And some of the organizations with solution creativity, they even know what their customers currently wants. They would also know what their customers in future wants. Even customer doesn't know. Future, what my needs of the customers. When smartphones came in, somebody who developed the smartphone never came back and asked for the community survey. They said, I know your life is going to be changed with the smartphone. Similarly, can there be product coming in which will change your lifetime? So that excellence will come from requirements, and then you design the product, as he rightly said, then code and high code quality. And today, so many tools are available, so many technologies available. Can we leverage them and ensure highest code quality and then testing quality? Now, this will assure solution. Development is done as a domain. Now, what will I do with the solution? The solution has to go and sit my customer's business and add value. It could be a banking company, it could be a financial institution, it could be a manufacturing company, or it could be a community of citizens, like what Mr. Rajnish was talking about. Then, can it solve their problem? Then I'm getting into services mode. And then can we say, how do I help my customers in their business? The day that we go there, then I think the company will become a kind of a lock-in with their customers. Customers will say, I want to work with this company, no choices, because I will be successful because of this service provider or this solution provider. I think that's the degree of paradigm change you will see from development to services, and CMMI adding a significant value because it then brings in the combination of powerful project management, engineering lifecycle and software lifecycle excellence, service delivery coupled with then the measurement part, and then continual improvement it takes into, which is optimizing. I think that's very carefully thought out, positioned practice areas to enable organization to move towards a changing business model, Mr. Teenu. Am I making sense, Mr. Rajnish, in terms of how does this evolve in the whole market as such?
So we realized coding management, testing management.
Yeah.
If you ask me, what did CMMI give to us? These two things were the core of the activity, because that is what defines us actually in the market.
Absolutely. So clearly there are multiple practice areas of CMMI which are at play. We talk about requirements development and management. We talk about technical solution. We talk about product integration, verification, validation. Then some of the points that you mentioned, they clearly map to service delivery. They map to STSM, and then of course MPM kind of enablement. So further, Mr. Rajnish, in general, would you like to share any specific best practices that NEGT DIC adopted in line with or over and above the CMMI expectations that could benefit other organizations worldwide?
Well, I must say very frankly that CMMI is so comprehensive that if we just follow CMMI, we have done a lot. But as I said before, coding management, testing management, then process improvements, regular improvements. Now we have a process asset repository, and most important thing was peer-based quality gates. So we also invested in a lot of new tools, a lot of new AI tools, coding tools, testing tools, and most importantly, from the organization effectiveness perspective, people have started respecting the CMMI's effectiveness in the organization. So it's a government operating environment, and government is very prone to status quo. So we have outgrown that status quo mindset, and every day, every moment when we have a new project, we go back to our older projects and also align ourselves. Are we in sync with the world? Are we in sync with the technology? So these are some, I will not say beyond expectations, but yes, we do not expect CMI to be so effective. So that is beyond expectation, I would say. The effectiveness of CMI in the organization, it was beyond our expectations.
Great.
People have taken up, and when we talked at level 5, they were very excited. They said, yes, we need to go for level 5.
Awesome.
In fact, I'm quite elated by what Mr. Rajnish very nicely talked about, how he has put together the entire organization in his company, bring everybody together and create that excitement. And I'll tell you why. What the CMMI talks about, it's all about integrated set of proven best practices at the end of the day. Now, where he's talking about is when every individual, and we all agree to the fact that in organization, different individual has got very creative thinkers. Okay. Some will think monotonously, some may think very creatively, some may have excellent set of practices. There's something called a personal work process. Personally, when I do it very differently. I have my own checklist. I have my own shortcuts to do without compromising on any integrity issues or process compliance. I have my own easiest way to do things. Every individual would have. Now, when we talk about that level 3 itself in CMMI, we're saying, hey, give me all those individual practices. Put them all together. Based on the merit, let's make it part of organization practices. And this journey continues. So, we are taking excellent practices from individuals, making it part of the repository, talked about knowledge repository, making it available to the organization. Now, what next happens? An individual joins a company. He is not going to be in dark. There is a system in place. Go back to the repository, pick up the best practices. So, I have fed my repository, and repository is feeding me back with as much as possible. So, at different point in time, I get to know the best practices, individual practices. Sitting in one desk, I would know how this entire organization is practicing certain things and can I do it. What connects me? Repository. That's what we talk about even in process asset development. Bring in process asset library and make the library a two-way. For individuals should connect and library should also connect. One best practice that you would see, very clearly talking about. Second and the last one is in the same repository across all 31 practice areas of the model. Today, how do we leverage the power of AI? Now look at it. We are telling most of the companies have started this language. You don't need to come to repository. Repository will come to you. So you are filling a simple form like a decision analysis form, or a simple form like a measurement metrics form, or I am doing a root cause analysis. As I am trying to explore, automatically the repository recognizes in the back end, oh, you're trying to fill this form. Oh, this is your problem statement. Oh, you completed your problem statement prompt by another 30%. I will tell you somebody else in our company have already done it. Please take it. If you want to refer it, I'm going to list it here. Now, you're not coming to repository, but what happens? Repository is coming to you. This is where we have to leverage and exploit technologies such as AI and make Gen AI is a way of implementing some of the CMMI philosophies and principles. These are some powerful practices that can not only reduce the time we take to do the work, increase the productivity, and with less, we can do more. I think that thought process will have to continuously permeate within the company. I think that would be my take in terms of best practices.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Dr. Sankaran, you mentioned about the repositories. Now, of course, practice areas like process asset development, they talk about developing the process assets. Now, even if we look at the additional domains like CMMI data, practices like metadata repositories and the data lakes, etc. They all eventually they go in sync with the repository value proposition. You also mentioned about the people motivation and the people engagement perspective. So that is where CMMI people comes into picture. There is a workforce empowerment wherein people's roles are clearly defined, and the total engagement gets enabled through this deployment. Thank you.
Very true.
So further, Mr. Rajnish, can you please share what are the key criteria for assessing and evaluating your process journey partners in line with your organization requirements?
Well, since we are working in government, we are a little slow. So the partner has to be very patient. has to understand that there will be a lot of resistance to whatever they want to do. It's not going to be an easy journey. A lot of partners will come. They suddenly start complaining that people are not cooperating. They don't understand things properly. They're not attending training sessions. That way, KPMG as a partner was very patient. They understood the way government works. And they had a very good collaborative approach. That they had a practical orientation. And the knowledge transfer was quick. In fact, in the last 1 year, I've even forgotten who's from KPMG and who's from NGD. So that's the kind of team spirit we have. And the best part about the strategic partnership that we have is that KPMG is feeling for NGD. I mean, our improvement is like their improvement. So which is the very, very important part, because ultimately consulting is a human-to-human interaction. Frankly speaking, when I met Puriji, I said, to me, it doesn't matter whether you're from this company, that company. You matter, he matters, she matters.
Yeah.
So that way, it's been a very good journey. And KPMG as a strategic partner with 𝗙𝗂, it has given a lot of leverage to us.
Right. Thank you. Dr. Shen, any thoughts on this seamless collaboration between the service provider and the practicing organization?
I think this is extremely crucial for both the entities to come together. As he rightly said, any strategic partner, especially supporting organization in their process journey, they have to be extremely persevering, patience, and persistence. That is one. You can put broad common methodology, but we need to be very clear that one common methodology will not work everywhere. One size doesn't fit all. Company to company, we have to be little flexible, little agile. If you are not agile enough in doing that consulting, you may not add value. At the end of the day, it is not about completing an engagement somehow. Completing an engagement, executing and completing engagement a particular way so that all stakeholders sees the benefit. As he rightly said, it's quite heartening to hear that their client's problem is our problem, right? And how do we solve it? And clients, when they celebrate having completed, is our celebration. So almost when he is so nice to see that, I don't differentiate anymore between KPMG versus our own company employee is a great feedback that one can ever have. And that's what every consultant would keep aspiring upon. Now, secondly, as a strategic partner, we need to understand client's business in depth. Okay, your methodology is fine. You are there to support, helping the company to get CMMI level 3, level 4, but understand the business in true sense so that we can go back and say, in the journey of CMMI, what else we can do for the business and how do we align to the business objectives? Otherwise, we will also be talking the similar language of, doing it for the sake of the model. It doesn't help anybody. I may get level, but then so what? At the end of the day, how am I going to impact my own business? So somewhere along the line, gain a good in-depth understanding of the business, where things can work, what things will not work. Keep a close connect with the industry practices, what worked elsewhere. Let's keep on, because that's one differentiation you bring in. Model is already there. Someone can read the model, try to interpret, understand. But what they may not have is the industry practices. A similar situation, any other company across the globe, how are they doing it differently? How are they doing it simply in a simplified manner? Can we bring those practices? Perfectly fine. Very carefully contextualized cross-pollination of best practices, not only from limited to the model, but also from the globe. And last but not the least, start looking at quantitative benefits wherever possible. Okay, so what? Because of the fact that we came in, what was the impact that we created beyond the levels? Then in the context of CMMI consulting, we would have created a differentiation. That's exactly what we want to do. And last but not the least, Mr. Teenu as well as Mr. Rajnish, is client-centric. Extremely client-centric. This is something within KPMG as a culture and within our own leadership team. We are always putting clients at the center of whatever we do. And each company will have broader approach, but each company will have contextualized and customized approach. And how do we make our customers successful in their business? At the end of the day, if our client can get level 5, and with that level 5, they are able to win larger deals, they are able to grow in their own business. That happiness is something that you need to aspire for. You need to throng for. Then everything will fall in place. If you are only aspiring to complete an engagement, walk away, then it's a short term. If you're looking for, my client has to be successful in their business, whatever you do, small work that you do, process or product evaluation, whatever small work you do, but that customer's business should multiply and grow. I think that happiness is going to be a stigma connected to you. you would never deviate from what is required. I think that would be my take
Sure.
in terms of looking at
Right.
process journey partners.
Thank you. So it's essentially the critical business value proposition rather than just surface level deployment advice.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Lastly, Mr. Rajnish, any key message you would like to convey to the CMMI community worldwide that would inspire or guide them based on your experience in the entire journey?
Well, if you only want the certification, there are many certifications you can get.
Yeah.
And companies have enough leverage in terms of capital, in terms of manpower, in terms of resources to get that. But it's a transformation journey. It's a framework for sustainable capacity, not just a compliance exercise. And if you use the CMMI as a catalyst for transformation, then it fundamentally reshapes the way organization is thinking. It is delivering its things. And I would say that, in the long run, it is almost an imperative. Whether you call it CMI or whatever it is, but you need that kind of maturity to become a predictive organization where the culture is that you predict an error, you do not let the humans commit too many errors. You have clear aligned guide objectives. There's a secure leadership commitment. You invested in people and culture. And it's also important that you adapt CMI to the context rather than conformity to the organization. Because organizations are very dynamic. You have to conform to the market, really speaking, and risk-based thinking. So ultimately, if you ask me what is CMI level 5, when we go there, it's like an autopilot in the skies. In the system just doesn't stay on course. It constantly fine-tunes to make the journey smoother and easier.
Thank you. So you rightly use the term adapt, so CMI adaptation and adoption, they are equally important. That would be my views. Dr. Shankar, any thoughts on this side?
From overall CMI community perspective, I just want to bifurcate into two parts. Individuals, institutions. Institutions are companies and enterprise and organization. Individuals, my request to individuals would be see CMI like a skill. It is a skill. Learning the entire model, whatever that 800, 900 pages, learning the entire model is all about culmination of so many best practices in all subjects. You name a subject. Organization leadership, it is there. Project management, it is there. You want to talk about process and quality management, it is there. You want to talk about engineering excellence and solution delivery, it is there. You want to talk about data, it is there. People policies, there. I think looking at the 8 different domains of CMI, variety of themes and topics of business nature are covered. So for individuals, humble request, see it like a skill. I'm seeing it as a skill. Even today when I read the model, new things emerge, new ideas emerge. So it is a skill set. Look at it like acquiring the skills, acquiring the competency. That is for the individuals. Look at institutions, as he rightly said. From an institution standpoint, it is the organization capability building model and framework to benchmark. Take advantage of benchmarking. As he rightly said, it is not a compliance. It's performance plus compliance. How do I increase my enterprise capability when I'm benchmarking with models like CMMI? Think about it. Now, look at the enterprise capability. Strategy, it is there. Operations, it is there. Tactical execution, it is there. But a lot of people think CMMI is only for operations, only for a tactical execution of engineering lifecycle. No, there is a connect with organization strategy. That's the very reason at level 5, the managing performance and measurement practice area preferably talks about, hey, align business objectives with business strategy. There's an explicit practice. And then it says, operationally, look at quality and process performance objectives, align that with business objectives. So CMI is an organization capability building model focusing on strategy plus operations plus tactical execution. That would be my take to institutions where the leadership team will have to recognize and realize that I can take advantage of this model and how do I put everything in alignment right at the business strategy level, not just doing it only at operation level alone. That would be my take for the institute.
Awesome. So to summarize the 3 layers, the strategic, the operational and the tactical. That is the key essence.
That's the case.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, friends, this brings us to the end of the podcast. Thank you so much, Dr. Sankaran and Mr. Rajnish, for this wonderful discussion today. Thanks a lot for your time and the interesting perspective that you shared that I'm sure would inspire the entire CMI community worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you. So it is CMI in action. So thank you for having me here, and it will be great to have many more such podcasts on the journey that we had and perspectives that we share with other government organizations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rajnish, for taking time out. It was wonderful interacting here and reliving our CMI journey the way that we want to make with true difference that can make to the customers. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Teenu, for having me here. Thank you.